Hello and welcome to Spring 2026. This is Police Systems and Practices, and I am your guide for this semester, Dr. John Fisher. This week is just going to be an introduction week. I'm going to go through the syllabus. I'm going to go through all of the things that we need to do. Um, this is the textbook that we're going to be using. Looks like this. It is Police Operations Theory and Practice, the 6th edition by Hess, Orthman, and Cho. It is published by Cengage. 13-digit ISBN is 978-1-285-05-262-5. This will be my introduction as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my resume. I guess I'm going to read my resume to you. I have been teaching in higher education in one form or another since 2005. In 2005, but let's back up. I graduated from high school in 1984 and joined the United States Air Force. I served in the Air Force from 84 to 92. I'm a Desert Storm veteran, much like Dr. Wilson. I served in Incirlik, Turkey. I was in Iraq. And then when I left Iraq, I was assigned to the 655th Special Operations Maintenance Squadron and the 1st Special Operations Wing. I was a C-130 crew chief, and I was a crew chief for the gunships and the C-130 refueler aircraft. Lots of fun. I got out of the Air Force in 1992, bounced around from jobs to jobs to jobs, wanted to become a juvenile probation officer. So I went in and I said, hey, I'm a disabled combat veteran of the United States Air Force at Desert Storm. I want to become a juvenile probation officer because I want to make a difference in the world. They said, well, you have to have a college degree to do this. So then Fort Worth was hiring police officers, and I got hurt in Desert Storm and did the written test and scored in the top 5. They were really excited to hire me, but because of my disabilities, I wasn't able to pass the physical portion to get into the Fort Worth Police Department, although I probably could today, but now I'm just old. So anyway, I went to college. I went to Angelo State University. I got a bachelor's degree with a double major, one in government, one in history, with a minor in criminal justice. And then I went back to juvenile probation. And they said, we're not hiring. I went to adult probation. And they said, you don't have any experience in corrections. You have to get experience in corrections before we can hire you. So I went and I worked for a company called Corrections Corporation of America. And the company that I worked for had a BOP and U.S. Marshals contract. And we also housed deportable aliens. Then in 2003, I went back to the probation office. They said that they've been looking for me and they were going to hire me even without my experience in corrections because they needed a probation officer. So they hired me and I became a probation officer in Tom Green County, Texas. And I did that for a little while. And then I realized that I wanted to run my own agency. I wanted to be the chief probation officer. So I applied and I interviewed at a couple agencies across the state of Texas and was told that I couldn't become a chief probation officer without a master's degree. So I went to school. I found a school called Sul Ross State University that had a graduate program that allowed me to go there on the weekends so I could still be a probation officer during the week. But the drive was a little long, so I transferred to the probation office. I got a job as a probation officer in Alpine, where Sul Ross State University is, and I did all of that fun stuff. that I was asked to teach a class for the criminal justice program, become a teaching assistant in 2005. I was teaching intro to criminal justice, and that was a lot of fun. And I helped Sul Ross State University build their online presence, which was really cool. And then uh, I finished my master's degree in criminal justice, and my wife was still working on her master's degree in English. So I went and got a second master's degree in public administration. And while I was still, when I was in the government department, I was still the teaching assistant for the criminal justice program, helping them write graduate courses online, helping them write undergraduate courses for online, and all of the stuff with creating an online footprint. Back when the online world was just getting going and the online education was just getting going, there was a whole lot of pushback and criticisms about needing to go to a brick and mortar school in order to get an education. And I was one of the biggest proponents for online, especially in criminal justice, because in criminal justice, it is, the guys that are working, guys and girls that are working in criminal justice, they work shift work. They can't always get to the school. So we needed to find a way to be able to help these professionals already in the field, corrections and institutional corrections and police, to be able to get an education. And online was that answer. In 2006, I was offered a position as the director of the criminal justice department at Howard College in Big Spring, Texas, which was a community college. Again, they had no online presence. I was hired. I was teaching seven classes a semester. Built an online presence, built an online program. Uh, back in the days when they were paying people, the schools were paying people to build online classes. They don't do that anymore. Um, so for 10 years, I was the director of the criminal justice department at Howard College, and I saw that there was a need. And this need was about creating a bachelor's of arts in applied science. Because when my students finished their education at Howard College, they'd move on to UTPB or to Sul Ross State University. Some people would go to the University of Oklahoma. Some would go to Sam Houston State University, and they would lose 20 to 30 hours of school because it didn't transfer to the university. So I sat down with the student senate and I discussed this deal. Then I sat down with the president of the school, and they said, "Well, you don't have a PhD. You need to get this done." So in 2008, I started my PhD. It took me the full 8 years to get it. I finished my PhD in human services, specializing in criminal justice in 2016. And I went back to my school and I said, "Hey, here's my PhD. Let's build this 4-year program. It'll be approved by the state. I know it will, and Sachs will approve it, and everything will be done. Here's all the paperwork. Here is all the plan." And they told me no. So, I just spent $300,000 on a PhD to do something with the school that they said that I could. Now they said that I couldn't do. So I quit. I walked away, and I returned back to the field, and I became a conservatorship worker for Child Protective Services. And I did that for a little while. And my wife said, "You need to get back into education. You need to get back to teaching." My dad said that I belong in the classroom. I don't belong in the field. Um, I need to go back to class and teach. So I started applying and I got a job with uh, Western New Mexico University in Silver City, New Mexico. And it was a 10-year school, but no research requirements, which was really cool because coming from the junior college, coming from the field, you know, I didn't have a lot of research in my background. My Walden University, where I went and got my PhD, didn't focus on publishing. What the goal for Walden University was to create scholar practitioners so that people with PhDs could go out into the field and they can do their job, and they've got the highest level of education to be able to bring about the change that we want to see in the world. So so Western New Mexico hires me, and I'm starting to work. My wife didn't want to go, and she goes, "That's New Mexico. I don't want to go to New Mexico." And I said, "Well, uh, nobody in Texas is hiring me. As soon as somebody in Texas hires me, we'll go back to Texas." So she agreed, and we went to go live in the Black Ridge of the Rocky Mountains in New Mexico, just east of the Arizona line. Uh, Beautiful, beautiful country. And I started building their criminal justice program. The first week of February 2019, I get a phone call from Dr. Kickbush at the University of Texas Permian Basin, and we have a telephone interview. And then they turned around and they said, "Well, we need to bring you to campus. We're going to pay for a ticket. Um, we're going to fly you out here to Odessa, and we'll interview you and see if this is you want to hire. You're one of three finalists." And I said, "Okay." Um, and that's where I met Dr. Wilson. I went through the interview process. Uh, they didn't fly me out. I drove out because from Silver City, there's no airport. You had to drive to Las Cruces to get to the airport anyway. And then it's just another 4 hours to get to Odessa. So I just drove. It's an 8 hour drive from Silver City to Odessa. You know, and if I would have flown, I would have had to drive from Silver City to El Paso, well, Las Cruces, get on an airplane in Las Cruces, fly to Dallas, then fly to Odessa. Uh, it would have been just easier to just drive to Odessa. So that's what I did. And then I made a weekend out of it. And then they hired me. I spent long semester. I spent the spring and summer at Western New Mexico, and fall of 2019, I went to work at the University of Texas Permian Basin. I was there for 5 years. My primary objective, and what Dr. Wilson and the provost and the leadership of the criminal justice program hired me to do, was to build the online graduate program, which I did. And within a couple of years, it was one of the best graduate programs in the country. Well, I had a disagreement with the chair of the department, and I quit. I left University of Texas Permian Basin and went back to work in the field, working for the Child Advocacy Center as the program director and child forensic interviewer, where I interviewed children about the sexual and physical abuse that occurred, that was perpetrated against them. I had a 100% rate of um, out, outcries. So they make an outcry to mom or the school, or it's suspected by the school, and they send, or the police, and they send them to us, and then we interview them, and then we get their uh, claims, and we listen to their outcry, and we get all the details for their outcries. And 100% of the time, I found the truth, and that truth led to conviction. And then I got laid off because I couldn't afford to keep me, and I moved to the family ranch, which is where I'm sitting at right now. I own two RVs. I own this one behind me. I own one over here to the left, which I live in as a house. I spend a lot of time out here on the porch doing schoolwork, doing research and writing. I don't know if you can tell, but the sun is awfully bright this morning. I'm waiting for it to get over the roof, um, and then we'll go from there. So we moved out here outside of Abilene. I got a job with ICE, with the Management and Training Corporation, MTC, as a shift sergeant for an ICE detention center in Anson called Blue Bonnet Detention Center. I was a shift sergeant there for a little while. And my brother-in-law said, you need to go become a chaplain for TDCJ. You need to go become a chaplain for TDCJ. I said, yeah, but geez. At the same time, I was talking with Dr. Wilson about becoming an adjunct for him. And he said, well, if he needs one, he'll let me know. And then, so I became, a year ago, I started working for TDCJ and became a chaplain where I was where I am in charge, where I'm responsible for all of the faith-based initiatives within the prison system. I taught my first class with the University of Arkansas Fort Smith last semester, and I noticed that a lot of you are in my class again this semester. I'm hoping that it's because you want to be in one of my classes and not that it is required for your degree. Had a lot of fun last semester. We've got a whole bunch of really smart students in the criminal justice department at Fort Smith. And Jordan, I got your email. I'm not ignoring you. I will get that request done at some point this week. But I'm still a chaplain with TDCJ. I am an adjunct professor for Dr. Wilson. And, full transparency, I'm looking to get back into academia full time. The pay cut that I took to come become a chaplain for the state of Texas is a little more than I can afford. I've been burning through my savings. I've just been burning through my savings. So good getting back into academia where I can build programs and build classes. The class that I taught last semester, I built. This class that you're about to see, I built. And I'm excited to teach police systems and practices. Police systems, criminal justice has 3 branches, okay, and they're co-branches. They're all equal, but everything starts in law enforcement. Everything starts, and we'll cover this next week because we're not doing any actual content this week beyond what I just decided to talk about. There are 3 branches of criminal justice. The first is police, the second is courts, and the third is corrections. Nothing can happen without first the police being involved, and the police can't get involved until there's a phone call or there's a complaint made. Okay, so the Keystone Cops, it was pretty cool. They had a bunch of cops just sitting around the police station waiting for somebody to call them and say, Bonnie and Clyde are here robbing our bank. And this is the way that policing has been since 1836, since the first police department opened in Boston. They waited. Policing has always been a reactive force, and we see this now. Even now, police is reactive. What ICE is doing is reactive. They are responding to crime. They're responding to criminal activity. You may or may not like what they're doing. That debate we can have in the lion's den, which I'll show you about in a little bit. But the ICE agents, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement was created after 9/11 and was created to keep illegals out of this country. And they may seem extremely jackboot at the moment, but that could have a lot to do with the people that they are tracking down and trying to arrest. There's some dangerous people they're trying to get out of this country. But again, that's a debate to have in the lion's den. Everything starts with the police. The criminal justice system cannot operate without first the police being involved, without first there being a complaint to get the police involved. It's only been in recent decades that we have moved from a reactive police force to a proactive police force. And the proactive policing is something that we, um, proactive policing is something that we still try to keep as reactionary as possible. Our proactive policing is about prevention. It's about trying to stop crime before it happens. But most of what policing does is reactionary. All right, so let's see if I can get into this classroom and share my screen. I'm going to share the content. Where's my mouse? As you can see, the sun is in my face, so seeing my screen is getting a little hard. Okay. Okay, so let me share. Content. All right, so this is the class. Okay, this is where we're at. To get to the class, where's my mouse? All right, to get to the class, what we do is we start here. Actually, I am going to move inside because my battery's dying. So give me a second. Quick commercial break. All right, so this is, all right. So as we can see, you can see here in the screen the class. So to get to the classroom, you come, down here on the right side, you click Launch Class for Teams. Okay, and then the class will come up, and then you can click Join the Classroom. Okay, and that's if I'm live or when I'm live. I plan on being live every Monday between 9 and 10. I started a little late today, but after this is done, because I'm recording it, it's going to be here. If you click recordings, you'll be able to say, this is the recording that I'm doing right now. I'm in the current. It is instructors, assistants, and students can see all of this. And then you just hit play. I didn't see that earlier. Let's go back to upcoming, and then maybe I'll send emails to you, because if I can copy the link, I can send it to you. Okay, so this is the class. Okay, and this is the Lion's Den. Okay, in the Lion's Den, this is intended to be a, the Lion's Den is intended to be a virtual student union. You guys can get together in here. You can discuss your research. You can discuss the class. You can debate issues like what's going on with ICE and law enforcement. You can, this is for a place for you guys to get together and talk without having to go into the student union. Grab yourself a coffee, come into the Lion's Den, and you guys can have a discussion. I've not figured out how to do a chat room yet, but I'd really like to just put together a chat room for this. I'll have to talk to IT and see if, and see how I can put in a chat room into this room. and turn this lion's den into a chat room. I will post all of my videos every week in here. Okay, every video that I do every week, I'm going to post in here. I know last semester there were a few people that had problems accessing my videos, so I put them here. I put them in the actual week, and then I'm also going to create a YouTube. Let's go here. Go to YouTube. No, I want my YouTube. Here we go. My YouTube. Okay, so we're sharing this one. This is my YouTube. This is my channel. Okay, you can find me at Dr. John Fisher 4143. You can also find me at Criminal Justice in a Nutshell. That's the name of my channel. But you can go to my videos. Where is it? Here's my channel. Okay, so this is my channel. Okay, so as you can see, I have classes here that I've been putting in. If you go to my playlists, I'm going to create a playlist. Currently, I have a playlist for the correction systems. I have one for frontier law and justice. And then I'm going to create another playlist for police systems and practices. And you can watch all of my videos here. If you want to, go ahead and subscribe and follow and ring the bell and all that fun stuff. Okay, so now we're back into the lion's den. I'm going to post everything here. Okay, and then every week we have an assignment. Okay, so if we go into week 1, that's this week. This week there's a syllabus, which I will open in a minute. There is the rubric for discussions. I have not put the rubric for my research paper in yet, but the rubric for the research paper will go here. It'll also go in week 16. Okay, so we're going to do introductions. Okay, so if you click in here into the introductions, Karen has already posted an hour ago, which is cool. So this discussion forum, I want you to introduce yourself, much like I just did. You're required to make an original post by Wednesdays, respond to at least 3 classmates by Friday, reply to at least 2 of those classmates by Sunday. This discussion will be graded using the rubric that I showed you. So let's talk to Karen. Miss Olds, I'm really glad to be in this course with all of you. I'm what you might call a long-term student. I've taken courses on and off for quite a while as life, work, and whatnot. Well, Karen, I am also a non-traditional student. Jackson, this is your second class. Welcome to class. I'm glad to see you're here again. So make sure that you respond, you do your posts and you do your introductions and everything. Starting next week, we get into the content of the course, starting with chapter 1 of the textbook. Okay, there's a PowerPoint, and I do lecture off the PowerPoints. There is a lesson plan. So if you click on the lesson plan, it'll come up and it will give you everything that this week's, the lesson plan, the chapter outline, key terms that you need to know, and the summary of the course, how we're going to apply it. This is everything that I've put together, and this is what I've used to build the weekly class. Okay. Web links. Okay, so these are web links that you can come to. Well, that didn't go to web links. Man, I have to fix this. Let's go to week 3. Okay, then there's a quiz. There's a 10-question quiz, which includes multiple choice, true or false, and matching. Every week, you're going to have a matching quiz. Okay, so you just come in here after you've read the material, after you've listened to my lecture. You can come in. There's 10 questions. And you can take the questions. You can see the questions are going to come up one at a time. What percentage of the population becomes more diverse? Is it projected that the U.S. population will drop to percentage of white compared to 87% white in 1950? And I'm going to give this one away to you. The correct answer is 51%. Okay. So let me go into student view so that you don't see what I'm seeing. Okay, now we're in student view. Okay, so there's a quiz and there's a discussion. Okay, so the discussion for next week is, why is discretion a necessary part of a police officer's job? Have you observed police discretion in operations? Please share your experiences. Okay, also in every discussion forum, the original post must be written in APA format. It must have in-text citations. It must have a list of sources. Okay, so have you observed police discretion operations and share your experience? There's nothing to cite there, but there is something to cite on why is discretionary is a necessary part of police officer's job. Okay, so I will expect to see in-text citations and a list of sources for this portion of the question. Again, you are required to make your original post by Wednesday, respond to at least 3 classmates by Friday, and then reply to at least 2 of your classmates who have responded to you. If no one has responded to your original post, you're not going to be held responsible for the replies. Okay, so let's go back up to week 1. Here is my rubric and how I'm going to be scoring your discussion posts. Okay. Your primary original discussion post should be no less than 200 words long. Okay. I'm not going to count the words, but you have to answer all of the parts of every question in order to get through this. Okay, so so let's go to the syllabus. Okay, so the syllabus, this is CRJU 23773.002, Police Systems and Practices. The general syllabus for the University of Arkansas, Fort Smith. Okay, I am Dr. John Fisher. That is my university email. My cell phone number is there, 432-466-9809. I work for the Texas, for the prison system on Tuesdays through Fridays from 7:30 in the morning to 6:30 at night. I do not check my university email as often as I probably should. So if you send me an email, go ahead and send me a text as well and say, hi, this is so-and-so. Please send, I sent you an email. And then when I get home, I can open up my computer and I can read the email and we can address it and answer it. This is a 3-credit-hour course. You have to have taken Introduction to Criminal Justice before you could take this class. And this class is 100% online. My official posted office hours are from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then Sundays from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. However, I prefer, I'm off Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Do not contact me after dark Friday until after dark on Saturday. You can contact me until 11 p.m. every night after dark. You can contact me all day, any day, through my cell phone on Sundays and Mondays. And again, that's my personal cell phone number. You are free to contact me as you need to. Okay, this is a study in philosophy, history of law enforcement, the limitations imposed on law enforcement in a democratic society in accordance with the Constitution. Agencies of law enforcement, we're going to review the agencies of law enforcement, the role and place of law enforcement within society. We're going to look at police discretion the first week. Next week, we're going to be looking at police discretion, ethics, police community interactions. Community-oriented policing is something that I stress. I am a big proponent of community-oriented policing. I'm also a big proponent of community-oriented corrections. Okay, and you can take the community-oriented policing philosophy and bring it into the prison. You don't have to be this mean, abusive correctional officer like I see a lot in the prison today. Additional course information. This is considered to be a core course for criminal justice majors and covers all the basic concepts in the subdiscipline of police systems. Okay, additional course information is, and I've already said that, the learning outcomes, subject matter. Upon successful completion of this course, you will be able to explain the operations and goals and tasks of police operations, systems, and practices. Okay, because this is an online class, I expect you to become a subject matter expert on every discussion course. You are going to be the teacher every week. Yes, I'm going to give my lecture every Monday. We're going to review what happened last week or the previous week, and then we're going to talk about the current week, and then I'm going to remind you of things, how they go about. Okay, but I expect you to become a subject matter expert on each week's discussion so that you can teach the remainder of the class. Okay, you're going to understand the basic patrol techniques and parole investigations. You're going to understand verbal and nonverbal communication skills. You're going to demonstrate knowledge of patrol techniques and strategies. You're going to know proper procedures required to respond to a call. You're going to know traffic stop procedures. You're going to demonstrate a knowledge of crimes. That sounds like my work phone. Chaplain Fisher, may I help you? Hello, this is Chaplain Fisher with Texas Department of Criminal Justice. How may I help you today? Apparently, they couldn't help me because they hung up. Okay. University learning outcomes. You're going to increase your analytical skills and critical thinking. You're going to increase and improve your communication skills, primarily written. I have not figured out how to make you guys do your own video presentations. You will communicate proficiently. Students will use an essay format for written assignments following the APA standards. I do count off, as some of you learned last semester, I will count off for grammar. And ethical decision making. You will model ethical decision making process. You'll examine ethical dilemmas within the criminal justice field, develop ethical frameworks to resolve these issues. And then global and cultural perspectives. You will reflect upon the cultural differences and the differences between ethnic backgrounds. Major course topics are roots of policing, the evolution of policing in American and in internationality, individuals in policing, police in the community, law enforcement, service, order, community policing, problem-oriented policing, future trends. The textbook we have already covered. Okay, so every week, the assignments that we're going to be having, every week there are going to be quizzes. There's going to be a 10-question quiz. There's 13 weekly quizzes, 10 points apiece. There are 15 discussions. weekly discussions. There's going to be 15 discussions, and I know that this says 16, but there is only 15. I can't deleted one of them. For 150 points, there's a midterm. This is a 100-question test. What's going to happen is I'm going to take all the questions from the weekly quizzes from starting next week until the end of until the midterm. I'm going to take all of those questions again, and I'm going to add another 40 questions to it for a 100-question multiple choice test. Multiple choice, true, false, and matching are going to be in it. You will have an hour and 20 minutes to complete the test. A test review will be provided a week before the test. Okay, so the final is the same. There's a final exam. The final exam will go from midterm to the end of the semester. There is no I know it says short answer there, but it's actually matching, not short answer. I decided to take the essays out because, it was just, I decided to take the essays out because you're writing me an essay. Okay, so you've got a final essay assignment. This final essay assignment actually has 4 parts. Okay, the 4 parts include a discussion. Okay, right here. The 4 parts of the essay assignment, it is complete total, is worth 200 points. Week 4 is a discussion forum. You are going to, in the discussion forum, you have to tell me what you're going to be writing on. Why is it important to do this study? Why is it interesting to you? And why should it be interesting to me? Okay. This is anything, any subject, any topic that is covered in the textbook. Okay, week 8, you're going to have an outline that's due. And I have an example of an outline. It is going to be worth 30 points. It is an alphanumeric outline. Okay, and one of the things that I saw last semester that hopefully that we can get fixed and remedied this semester is that you are expected, what you should do, and when you're writing your final paper should have headings and subheadings. Okay, you can take your outline, the outline that you're going to be building in the next 8 weeks, and that becomes your section headings and subheadings. Okay, so Roman numeral 1, police interrogations, whatever, whatever you decide that you're going to write on. You've got an introduction to your paper. You've got the body of your paper. So you've got, Roman numeral 1 will be your introduction. And then A, B, and C underneath that would be the topics that you're going to discuss introducing your paper. Again, why is this topic important? Why is this topic, why should we study this? Then the next section is going to be your first point to explain. So that would be your next heading. And then under there, you'd have A, B, and C, and maybe 1, 2, 3, if necessary, for subheadings. And then you take this outline, and then this outline becomes your framework for your research paper, and it'll make your research paper a whole lot easier to write. It will make your research paper a whole lot easier for me to follow and to understand. Okay, you need, if it's in APA format, you need headings, subheadings, and subheadings, or level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 subheadings. If you go to apa.org, if you go to the writing center here at University of Arkansas, Fort Smith, they will make sure that you understand. They give you the instructions for writing an APA, and we'll talk about it more. I'll probably do a special lesson on writing in a special video in addition to the weekly content on how to format and write an APA paper. On week 12, you'll have an annotated bibliography. Again, there's an example there of how to do an annotated bibliography on week 12. But an annotated bibliography takes your list of sources and explains the function, the use, of that source. It tells me how that source influences the paper and what is important out of that source to influence the paper. Okay, so and then week 16, the final on Sunday, the final paper is due. On week 15, if you turn in your paper to me via email by Sunday at week 15, I will read it, review it, edit it, and send it back to you so that you can fix it before you turn it in on week 16. I am using an AI checker, and I am using a plagiarism checker for your paper. Okay. Do not get caught using AI. Do not get caught plagiarizing. If you give a source, if you give a fact, you need to make sure that you relay that source or you relay that fact. Okay, so this is the way that the grading is. Weekly quizzes, there's 10 for 130 points. Weekly assignments or weekly discussions are 15 for a total of 150 points. The midterm exam is 100 points. The final exam is 100 points. And then the essay project is worth 200 points for a grand total of 680 points. And you know, nothing is weighted. Every point goes to your grade. So anything between a 612 and 680 is an A. 544 to 611 is a B. 476 to 543 is a C. 390 to 475 is a D. 389 and below is an F. This is the schedule. So this week we're just talking to ourselves. We're doing introductions. Starting next week, starting February 1st, we're going through, due on February 1st. Okay, so this is the due date. So we're starting on January 26th. It is due on February 1st. Chapter 1, then Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4. The midterm exam is week 8. It's going to be due March 15th. Also, your outline is due on March 13th. Then spring break is March 23rd through the 27th. There will be no assignments that week. We're going to talk about terrorism. We're going to talk about my first book, my dissertation. Week 12. Week 12, you are going to have your annotated bibliography. Week 16, again, is your paper due. And then week 17, May 12th, is the Wednesday of the week, is when the final will be due. I will open the final for 1 week. So it'll be in the middle of week 16 through the middle of week 17. You are required to have a computer. You are required to have Word. You are required to have PowerPoint access, Adobe Reader for document viewing. You should be proficient in basic computer use. You need to be familiar with Blackboard. The ability to conduct research on the internet using the library resources, because, again, I didn't cover it. Your research paper must have a minimum of 6 sources. 1 is a book. It could be the textbook, but it has to be a book. 2 is a journal article that you can get from the university's library resource. 3 is an authorized website. The other 3 can be what you want. They can be TV shows, they can be movies, they could be other books, they could be whatever. You should have more than 6 sources, but there's a minimum of 6 sources required for this paper. The annotated bibliography only requires 6 sources, because you're going to continue working on this paper for another 4 weeks after the annotated bibliography is due. So you may come up with new sources, or you may find that the sources don't apply to where you're going and you want to remove them. However, the outline must reflect your paper topic. Your discussion on week 4 must reflect the paper that you're going to write after I've approved it. And well, in that discussion, I will approve that paper or not. Week 8, the outline will cover alphanumeric outline covering the approved topic. The annotated bibliography will cover the minimum of 6 sources that you have found addressing your topic. And then the paper turned in at the end. This course also uses Navigate, the Student Success Network, to improve communications. You will get emails through Navigate with information about resources and concerns. Please read these emails. They're sent to help you succeed. If I see that you're failing, I see that you're not logging in, if you're having problems, I'm going to send an email and a message through Navigate to get this done. Academic integrity, academic honesty is extremely important to the University of Arkansas Fort Smith, and it is committed to help students attain their highest level of academic achievement without cheating. You can read the rest of that policy on yourself. The University of Arkansas Fort Smith makes every effort to offer equal education opportunities to all students, regardless of their disabilities. The underlying philosophy of the program is to provide support where possible, and that will maximize each student's opportunities for academic success. Grievance procedures. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you can request regarding this course. It should first be taken to me, okay? Because I am the I'm not the departmental head. That is Dr. Wilson. But if they first come to me, we can address them. If you do not appreciate or you do not accept my resolution, you can take them to Dr. Wilson. Unanswered questions or unresolved issues about this class can then be directed to the dean of the college, Dr. Alexander. Her email is there. FERPA, the Family Education Rights Privacy Act, is a federal law that relates to the confidentiality of student records. If your parents email me, I'm not going to tell them how they're doing. Okay, I'm not going to tell them who you are or how you are. I'm not going to tell them if you're attending classes, you're doing your assignments. It's none of their business. Much like the policy that I have in the prison, okay? Because I'm the chaplain. I get a lot of mamas calling me and saying, "Oh, how is my child? My child, my child. I haven't heard from my child in 7 days. Can you go check on him? Tell me, and then tell me how he is." I said, "Ma'am, this is the policy of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. As long as you don't hear from me, your child is fine. If your phone rings and it's my caller ID, that's my number that's on your caller ID, you know that something is wrong and bad happening with your child. So you don't want to hear from me. But I'll go check on your son. And then I'll go to the cell block where her son is, and I'll go, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny." I'll get his attention, and then because I'm there and I'm yelling, everybody's paying attention to me. And then once he says, "Yeah, what do you want?" I'm going to say, "Call your mommy. She's worried." And then I go. So if I hear from your parents about your ability, that's going to be my policy. I'm going to respond with, "I'm sorry. As long as you don't hear from the school, your child is fine." And then I'm going to send you a message. I'm going to send you an email message to the whole class saying, "Johnny, call your mommy." We do have a civility and student code of conduct in class. Please act like adults. Some of the subject matter that we're going to be talking about over the 16 weeks could be controversial. Please remember that you are adults. Please treat each other as such. This is not X, this is not Facebook, where you can become a keyboard terrorist. Okay, I will keep information you share with me confidential, okay, to the best of my ability. But I am a mandatory reporter. So if you report any criminality, that you're a victim of any criminality, I have to report that. If you report to me that somebody is sexually discriminating against you, I am required to report that. Title IX, I'll report it to the title, not only to Dr. Wilson, but to the Title IX coordinator. Sexual discrimination is noted in the Title IX policy, and this includes behaviors such as sexual harassment, sexual assault, and all forms of sexual violence. I cannot keep this a secret. Also, if you report to me that you are a victim of domestic violence, I cannot keep that a secret. I must report that. Classroom and evaluation procedures related to the lawful carrying of concealed weapons. This is an online class. You can carry your gun in this class all you want. Don't really want you showing your firearm to everybody, but you are in this class, you're allowed to carry all that you want as long as you are following the laws of the state of Arkansas. Okay, if you need any accommodations for this class, any syllabus changes, you need to go through your ADA coordinator. I do not. I know this says, I will accept late assignments if I am notified with the following deductions. Okay. I will allow late assignments, but this is a week. You have an entire week to get all of this done. The policy for the department is an additional 10% of the possible points will be reduced every week that it is late. The way that I have this class set up this semester is it turns off after the due date. To be able to get more time, to be able to redo something, you're going to need to talk to me about it. If I know in advance, I'm more likely to give you extended time. If it comes back and you say, oh, well, the University of Arkansas Fort Smith made it to March Madness, and I went and spent the month of March following the basketball team around, so I didn't get any of my work done. Unless you're on the team, there's going to be problems and issues. It is important to communicate late submissions. Okay, my communication plan, as I've already shared, I want you to, if you send me an email, I work full time for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the Wallace unit during the day. I check my email Monday to Friday between 7 p.m. and 10:30, several times on Sundays and Mondays. You can reach me at this email address. You can text my personal phone number. I have found that I do not check my email, my university email every day. So if you send me an email, please send me a text to 432-466-9809. And I will check that when I get off work and I leave the prison. And I will strive to respond to you within 24 hours. Delays may occur, especially outside normal working hours. If I'm unable to reply promptly, a polite reminder is welcomed. Please refrain from using all capital letters or sending emails lacking professionalism. The regular and substantive interactive compliance regarding academic policy. I have predictable office hours, and it's posted on this syllabus. I monitor my academic engagement. I go into the class several times a week, and I answer and address posts. I answer and address emails. I will contact you through course announcements regarding course content, updates, and other changes. I also make this video every Monday. It might not always be at 9 o'clock, but my experience is nobody has shown up for the live session anyway. Use of AI policy. Since writing, analytical, critical thinking skills are integral to the university learning outcomes, essential for success in the workplace. This course must be prepared by the student independently without assistance of ChatGPT or any other artificial AI programs at any stage of the assignment process. The use of AI generated content, either in whole or in part, is strictly prohibited and will be considered plagiarism. Students are permitted to use tools such as Grammarly or other text reviewing software solely for grammar, spelling, punctuation, and style suggestions. These tools may be applied to content that is the student's own original work, written without AI-generated assistance. And even Grammarly has an AI tool. Do not use the Grammarly AI tool. Extra credit. This says no extra credit opportunities are available for any reason. And as you found out last semester, that is not actually accurate. Okay, so if you do an outstanding job, okay, so I have a minimum of original post, 3 replies, 3 responses, 2 replies. That's a minimum of 6 posts that you have to make every single week. But there's a few of you that were in my class last semester that sent me 9, 10, 11, even 12 posts that were substantive posts every week. And because of your additional work and your additional hard work, I gave you additional points. Also, at the end of the semester, there is a course evaluation that you have to fill out. If you send me a receipt of that course evaluation, I will give you up to 10 extra points on the final exam. Okay, material will be graded within 7 days of submission. Normally, I do all of my grading. I try to do all of my grading on Mondays. If I don't get them done by Monday, I will get them done throughout the week, which means, but they will be graded within 7 days of submission, of due date, not submission, of due date. If circumstances prevent timely grading, I will inform you accordingly. In case of a complete loss of contact, call me at this number. Please leave an email message. We're going into the spring. And I'm sure Arkansas is just like Texas. Come spring, we get thunderstorms, we get tornadoes, and we get a lot of tornadoes. So if something, make sure that you prepare in advance for these emergencies. Okay, you can check your weather assignments. If you're going to wait till Sunday to do everything, you might want to check the weather to make sure that the weather is not going to get in your way. You want to ensure that you keep copies of all assignments on an external drive or cloud storage to mitigate risks such as file loss or corruption. If any issues arise, you may be required to resubmit files. And this happened a couple times last semester. I'd say, I can't open this, send it to me this. I need every document that you send to me in Word. Okay. I know some of you set it in PDF, and I can't grade or mark PDF files. So I want everything sent to me in Word, and then make sure that you save a copy. Okay, learning thrives in collective environments where both the instructor and students play vital roles. My role is I'm going to design a comprehensive lesson plan that aligns with student learning outcomes. I'm going to cultivate a course structure that enhances your engagement. And I'm going to do all of these things that are listed there. What I expect from you is to dedicate yourself to learning, to actively participate in the course, and to help your fellow students. Okay. That is the syllabus. And that is where we're at. So I have stopped sharing. And as you can see, I'm in one of my RVs. Thank you for your patience. We're at over an hour, so it's time for, I know in class classrooms are an hour and 15 minutes. I'm at an hour and 8. So I am going to close this. I will see all of you in the forums this week. Hope you have a great week as we move on into learning about police systems and practices.